Hey friends! My name is Desiree, aka Mama Friendly, and I do all sorts of videos on my channel, from cooking videos to planner videos, vlogs, hauls, homeschool videos with a Disney twist, a little bit of everything. So if any of that sounds like fun to you, I hope you'll subscribe and join me on my YouTube adventure. Today's video is a collab hosted by Tiffany of Small Town 6 and Jessica of Jessica My Rose. It is the monthly Foodie Friday collab, and it's basically a recipe free-for-all. On the first Friday of every month, we all get together and share whatever recipe is inspiring us lately. And I typically take advantage of these collaborations to share a Cuban recipe with you that either I just learned to make authentically or that I had to tweak a little bit to fit my allergies. I eat gluten and dairy free exclusively, and luckily for the most part, the meals I've tried have all been gluten and dairy free just on their own. Every once in a while I do have to get creative, and those videos tend to be a little interesting. But this month I am going to show you something that I did not have to tweak at all, and actually it is a family recipe. I'm going to show you how to make my mom's Rabo Encendido. That literally translates to, I guess, like lit up tail, or like tail on fire, maybe. But pretty much it's oxtails that are cooked in a spicy tomato sauce. They're usually cooked with potatoes and served over white rice, so you have something to sop up all that delicious sauce. And it's one of my favorite meals. If oxtail hadn't gotten so expensive, I would literally eat this like once a week if I could. It being one of my favorite meals though, I never actually tried to make it before today, and I'm very happy to say that it turned out exquisitely. So maybe you're familiar with oxtails, but you've never had the Cuban version. Maybe you love Cuban Rabo Encendido, or maybe it never even occurred to you to eat oxtail. But either way, I hope you'll give this recipe a try, because it just tastes like the most luxurious beef stew you'll ever have in your life, and I feel like everybody needs to have this experience at least once. Now before we jump into the recipe, I do want to remind you that because this is a collab, there's going to be a playlist. So once you've finished watching my video, you can check the description box, click that link, and check out what all my friends made this month as well. Now, let's get cooking. Alright pals, I'm very excited about this recipe. It's my mom's recipe for Rabo Encendido, and in true Cubanichi fashion, I have a list of ingredients, but the list is pretty unclear in terms of like quantities for everything. So I'm going to show you what I've got, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it. But keep in mind that everything is basically to taste. So first things first, I've got my oxtail here. My mom actually got this for me. She picked them out. She always goes for the meatier ones. This is really expensive. And it's funny because it used to be like a trash cut, but then people realized how delicious it is, and now it's really expensive. She was able to pay $9 a pound for this because it was on sale. The cheapest we're ever able to find it is like $6 a pound, and that's like, whoa, party time. Go crazy, invite everybody, we're having rabo. So, however you're able to get it, we usually plan this meal literally around the sales. So I've got here about 4 pounds total between the two packages, and you can see they're quite meaty. Hopefully you have the same luck we did. And now for seasoning, she says you can use sazon completo, but if you don't have sazon completo, which I actually don't, then you can just use some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and cumin. Kiddo's running around in the background, so that's the noise you're hearing. And then we're also going to make a sofrito, and like it's going to basically be the sauce that the meat cooks in. So for that, she said to get 2 cans of tomato sauce. I'm assuming she meant the big ones. And also some tomato paste. So I've got a small can here, and I'm thinking I might use like half of it. And almost a bottle of vino seco, or white cooking wine. I have some white wine here, about half the bottle, and I've also got, I'd say maybe like a third of a bottle of red. So I think I might use both, because she says that she likes to use a lot of vino seco in hers, and what I'm going for is the flavor that she achieves, because she always makes it so good. She says that she likes to trim some of the fat before she sears them, but I'm not going to do that. And my dad's always telling her not to because that's where all the flavor is. I'm team dad on this one. So the procedure basically, I know I'm all over the place, but I'm legit reading this off of a text message that she sent me. What we're going to do is that we're going to season and sear the meat. We're going to make our sofrito / sauce. And what she likes to do is put everything together in the crock pot or whatever she's going to use to cook it in, and she leaves it in the fridge overnight and cooks it the next day. So the sauce that it cooks in ends up acting almost like a marinade. It's really getting into the meat and infusing it with flavor before you cook it. This is completely optional, but again, I'm trying to recreate my mom's recipe exactly because it's just so good. So if that's what she does, that's what I'm doing. And for that sauce, like I said, we need the tomato sauce, we need the wine, we need the paste, and she wants us to add oregano, cumin, salt and pepper, and un paquetito de sazón Goya. I rarely have this on hand, but I decided to buy it just for this recipe. And if you can't find this, you can see the ingredients right there. This is basically MSG, salt, garlic powder, cumin, and yellow food coloring. Oh, and also some culantro and achiote. The achiote is just for color though. So culantro is really the one ingredient that would be hard to find maybe if you can't find this and you want to just get the regular seasonings. Culantro is not cilantro. It's two completely different herbs with two completely different flavors. Just so you know. Another thing she likes to add are ají cachucha, which are really spicy little peppers that look like this. She actually grows them in her house and she uses them in a lot of recipes. I don't have any though, and she told me that since I don't have any, I could use some cayenne pepper, I could use some red pepper flake, I'm gonna throw in some Tabasco, but we feel like this definitely needs a little bit of heat to really set off the flavors. So pretty much I'm going to season the meat, like I said, with salt, pepper, garlic, and cumin. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in a pan, and I'm going to sear it. I'm going to kind of pan fry it a little bit just to give it some color. I will be doing it in batches because the important thing right now is that it's not crowded and it does get a chance to sear. If you put too many in the pan at once, it's going to steam. So it'll start to cook, but it's not going to give you that yummy, crunchy brown outside that you want. While that's going, I'm going to be mixing together my liquid ingredients, I guess. And once the meat has gotten its yummy brown color, I'm going to put it into my Instant Pot because I am going to be using the pressure cooker for this tomorrow. I'm going to layer meat and then sauce and then meat and then sauce so that the meat gets a chance, like every part of the meat gets a chance to come in contact with the sauce. And I'm going to refrigerate that overnight. In the morning, I'm going to pressure cook it for about an hour. You could probably get away with less, but an hour at like regular pressure is my go-to for everything basically. You could also do this in the crock pot, which my mom does a lot. And in that case, you would do it on high for about 4 hours. A lot of people really like making potatoes along with the oxtail, and I'm probably going to do that. So I've got these tiny little bite-sized potatoes so that I don't have to chop anything. If you have regular sized potatoes, you can cut them up into bite-sized pieces and cook them along with the meat. I will say for this though, I would prefer a waxier potato, not like a russet, because a russet's going to fall apart. Maybe that's what you want. I prefer the potatoes to kind of stay intact and retain their bite, so I like a creamier sort of potato, like a honey gold or like a red potato, new potatoes, that sort of thing. And again, you just want them small enough where they're going to cook all the way through while we're cooking the meat. My mom also likes to cook the meat first, and then once the meat's ready, she'll take it out of the vessel, the crock pot or whatever, and at that point put the potatoes in to cook in the sauce. Whatever makes sense to you. I will likely put the potatoes in with the meat and cook everything at the same time. So this is going to be tremendo invento, but let's find out together how this turns out, huh friends? So we're seasoning the meat first with our salt, pepper, cumin, and garlic. I'm gonna season pretty heavily because I like a lot of flavor. And look how funny, we've got all these big meaty pieces, and then in this pack we've also got all these tiny little bones basically. Like there's no meat to that at all, it's just bone. But I'm gonna go ahead and sear those up and cook them all the same, because that's gonna release a lot of really delicious rich collagen into the sauce and everything. It's gonna make everything nice and thick. It's gonna be good. We don't throw away anything here. Everything is flavor, everything's an opportunity. So I'm just gonna season all sides with the salt, and then I'm gonna come back around and do all the pepper, all the cumin, all the garlic. And in the meantime, I've got my pan getting hot with a little bit of olive oil in it to start the sear. So my mom was telling me to put a layer of meat and then some sauce and then another layer of meat and then some sauce. She usually makes a way bigger quantity than what I have. I was able to pretty much put all of the meat in one layer. And then I've got my sauce going here. I asked her because I could have sworn I remembered picking bay leaves out of the recipe. She hadn't mentioned bay leaves in her original recipe, and sure enough she said, yes, you need some bay leaf and ponle más picante, because it needs picante. So I added more Tabasco in here, although I'll probably end up adding even more when it comes time to serve. So I've got the meat. I'm going to pour the sauce over. I think I might put the potatoes in there first, just so that the potatoes get a chance to get some sauce as well. And like I said, I'm going to put this whole container, I'm going to wait for everything to cool down, and I'm going to put the container in the refrigerator to kind of marinate overnight. And in the morning, or whenever I want to eat, but probably in the morning, I'll put this in the Instant Pot and cook it for an hour under pressure. So as I mentioned, I'm making kind of a small amount, so I had enough sauce there. She said that if you needed more sauce, if you needed to stretch the liquid out because you're making more meat, again, keep in mind the potatoes are taking up room here that otherwise could have been taken up by more meat, then you could add a little more vino seco, or you could even add some water. While it cooks, it's going to cook away anyways, so those are things to consider if you are cooking more meat than I currently am. Alright pals, that's how I made my mom's Rabo Encendido. I would not change a thing. It was so good. I actually had the rest of it for breakfast the next day, and I am very much looking forward to the next time they go on sale so that I can make this again. All things considered, it was really easy. I had been so intimidated to try this because it just tastes so complex. There's so many things going on that I thought for sure it was going to be way more complicated than it was. And I am so happy to report that it was very easy and extremely satisfying. So if you decide to try this recipe, I would love for you to come on back and let me know how you liked it. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for being here and watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I hope you'll please give it a big thumbs up. I'd also love it if you would subscribe and click the notification bell, because I post at least 3 times a week and I wouldn't want you to miss a minute. Thanks so much again for watching. Bye!